Let's talk about Blood Angels Assault Terminators, shall we? Hello my friends, my name is Max, and today we are going to do something a bit unusual. We are going to do an educated guess when should we expect these fine lads in red Terminator armor. We're gonna try to figure out what to wait for, when to wait for, and what kind of stuff might come along. And let's start with what is available at the moment. This is the existing kit. It is fairly old, as you can see. I have built a couple of these spells on this channel, including the guy with a standard. And I can tell you, they are actually very, very old. They feel incredibly old. And that is because they are from year 2014. This is 7th edition of Warhammer 40k. And we're about to witness the arrival of the 11th one really soon. And needless to say, these are the firstborn Space Marines. This kit allows you to build two flavors of them, either with lightning claws or with thunder hammers and storm shields. They look absolutely fantastic, but they are quite old by now. Along with this kit, two more miniatures were released. This is a Blood Angels first company captain on the left, he is still active in the lore to the best of my knowledge, and a Blood Angels librarian and Terminator armor on the right. But what points at new Blood Angel Terminators? Well, first of all, this pal, or namely, his fancy hat. The thing is that Valrak is usually very accurate with his rumors. I think the vast majority of things he is talking about comes true eventually. And I remember him talking about new Space Hulk for at least a couple of years by now. And the Valrak's rumors are basically all about new Assault Terminators for Blood Angels or a new Space Hulk. Or maybe both. A quick side note for those of you who have no idea what a Space Hulk is, it is a board game using really cool looking miniatures. We have seen 4 editions of this game so far. 2 first editions were using generic Terminators. They could be painted in pretty much any Space Marine chapter, and I think there were scenarios involving at least Dark Angels, maybe Ultramarines and Space Wolves too. The 3rd edition was a little bit different though, because it was the very first books where Blood Angel Terminators were released. And to the best of my knowledge, before this, there were no dedicated Blood Angel Terminator miniatures at all. They had funny bases though, so maybe we don't count them as a Terminator squad, but nevertheless, they were the first Blood Angel Terminators there. And it was a year 2009. 5 years later, in 2014, the 4th edition of Space Hulk arrived. We have a video of unboxing of this box on this channel. This is the box that I have. If I remember correctly, this box was different from the previous edition only by one miniature, a librarian in Terminator armor miniature. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong here. And that is interesting because this edition, the 4th edition, was released at the same time as Blood Angel Terminator Assault Squad that we have seen a couple of slides before. Back on track, the second thing that hints on Blood Angel Assault Terminators is the obvious lack of these lads during the last range update for Blood Angels. This range update happened 1 year ago in 2024, and we see a lot of updated miniatures. And even more updated miniatures, and we even got the Blood Angels upgrade sprue. The Primaris upgrade sprue 2.0 as I call it. This is a brand new upgrade sprue, the most top-notch one you can get for Blood Angels. And it only exists for Dark Angels, Blood Angels, and now Ultramarines. All other chapters don't have it yet. The third thing that hints that we might get a new kit is online-only marking on the Blood Angels Terminator Assault Squad, and it is even unavailable in the US and Canada, but this might be not related whatsoever because of the tariff wars and whatnot. This kit is not available in my local game store either, but I might book it, I guess. Maybe they will deliver it there. But usually what online only means is that you can buy this on Games Workshop website online, or you can order it to a physical Warhammer store that is owned by Games Workshop. Sometimes that might mean that this set of miniatures is about to leave the range. Sometimes it does not. For example, there is a Vanguard Space Marines box that is sitting in online only for years, and it is still in range. You can still buy it. What is a little bit suspicious though is that Blood Angels Librarian and Terminator armor is also online only. And of course the Terminator captain of the first company of Blood Angels that we have seen a couple of slides before, whose name is Carlan by the way, he is not in range at all. I couldn't really figure out when he left the range, so if you know, let me know in the comments below. He seems to be quite rare by now, to the degree that I don't even have it in my possession. And believe me, I have a lot of Space Marines miniatures. Another hint that points out at updated Terminators for Blood Angels is that Dark Angels and Space Wolves got their Terminators already. They got their specific flavor of Terminators, Deathwing Knights for Dark Angels and Wolfguard Terminators for Space Wolves. And we have two interesting things here. First of all, historically, there were a lot of generic Space Marines, and the first chapters that were invented to make them more interesting are Dark Angels with their Deathwing, and Space Wolves with their Wolfguard Terminators. If I remember correctly, they were released first around 1993, both of them, and since then, these specific flavors of Terminators for these two chapters are sitting in range in one form or another. As we have already seen today, the Blood Angel Terminators were released much later in 2014. What that means is that historically, these two chapters were first, and they already got their miniatures, and the Blood Angels came after them, and now we probably can expect Blood Angel Terminators too. The second thing that is interesting here is that both of these chapters got their Terminators with a first company leader. The Belial is a Grandmaster of Deathwing, the first company of Dark Angels, and Ariak Rockfist is pretty much the same for the Wolfguard Terminators. Let's remember these points for the section where we will discuss what to expect. And of course, we got an announcement of these fine lads. These are the Assault Terminators, the generic ones that will be released as part of Crux Terminatus books before Christmas time. And they are pretty much the Assault Terminators, the generic Assault Terminators. They can be built either with Lightning Claws or with Thunder Hammers and Storm Shields. Let's remember that they are being released soon. Yet another interesting part here is that Blood Angels are obviously missing from a transfer sheet in Crux Terminatus books. We can see here Ultramarines, Imperial Feasts, Salamanders, White Scars, Raven Guard, no Space Wolves, no Dark Angels for obvious reasons, and the only two chapters that are missing, the first founding chapters, are Blood Angels and Iron Hands. And speaking of Iron Hands, not only are they missing from this transfer sheet, they also get a Khanok Var miniature really soon. That looks fairly suspicious. Maybe we get some really cool Iron Hands Terminators. Fingers crossed here. There is a certain release cadence for Space Marine units. Games Workshop tends to release generic units first, and then they release chapter-specific variants. For example, we first got easy-to-build Terminators, new easy-to-build Terminators. Then we got normal Terminators afterwards, and only after that we got specific chapter Terminators for Dark Angels and Space Wolves. And the Space Wolves, as we can see from this picture, they are basically normal, regular Terminators. They are not Assault Terminators whatsoever. And that leads to a thought. Maybe we get something chapter-specific after we get a release of Assault Terminators in generic form, because this is how it works usually with Games Workshop releases. Moving forward, and this one is really funny because it doesn't really fit anywhere in our theories so far. The store anniversary miniature of this year clearly hints on Space Hulk. This Bioscience Terminated Mini is available through the year in Games Workshop Warhammer stores. If you live somewhere with a Warhammer store close to you, try to figure out the birthday date of this store, and usually there will be a whole week when you will be able to pick up this mini at your Warhammer store. Here in Stockholm, Sweden, I have been told that there will be enough of these minis for pretty much everyone who will drop by the whole week of the store birthday. And my store birthday is mid-October, so I plan to get this mini and build it on the channel. And you can pretty much do the same if your birthday is still in future, or you can actually try to fish out this Bioscience Terminated Mini on eBay, because it is not particularly expensive. I guess there was a lot of miniatures produced for store anniversaries. This is clearly a Gene Stealer. We have already seen the Space Hulk box. This looks very much like a Gene Stealer ripped ripping out a Terminator head, and this Terminator is clearly a Blood Angels Terminator. We can see a heap of armor and a helmet, and that screams at us Space Hulk. So, what do we expect, keeping in mind everything that we have just mentioned? Well, first of all, we definitely are supposed to get a new Blood Angels Assault Terminator squad. What might be a little bit unexpected here is that I would assume that along with these Assault Terminators, there will be an HQ character in Terminator armor, because that is exactly what we have seen for both Dark Angels and Space Wolves. We might actually get something similar for Iron Hands, because we have seen one half of this equation, namely an HQ character, a very new HQ character for them, and we still might get troops half of it too at a later point, namely some Assault Terminators for Iron Hands. I really hope this is gonna happen. But since we're talking Blood Angels, let's move forward. A third thing that definitely might happen is a new Space Hulk. First of all, the last one was very long time ago, more than 11 years ago, I believe, it was 2014. And interestingly enough, that one was coinciding with the release of previous iteration of Blood Angel Assault Terminators. So I would not be surprised if a new Space Hulk will be released along the new Blood Angel Assault Terminators. How positive I am about that? Well, probably 60-70% sure. I guess we will have to wait and see. But how long do we have to wait and see? That is the question now. Let's dive into this. What we have already figured out is that it is very likely to get both Assault Terminators and an HQ character in Terminator armor at the same time. Secondly, these chapter-specific troops usually appear after generic troops. For example, regular new Terminators were released in October 2023, with Deathwing Knights for Dark Angels released in February 2024, roughly 4 months later. Wolfguard Terminators were released in July 2025, roughly 21 months later after the generic Terminators, and 17 months later after the Deathwing Knights. So we can see that there is no obvious pattern here, but what we can figure out is that there will be several months after the release of the generic version of Assault Terminators before we can expect Blood Angels. So in our case, it can be anything from 4 months to, I guess, a year and a half. The third thing that we should keep in mind is that the 11th edition is believed to be all about Space Wolves. There are persistent rumors that there will be Lemon Russ returning. The lads in the foil hats that is rarely wrong insists these are the rumors. So that leaves us in an interesting situation. If we expect to see the 11th edition around summer 2026, we might get Blood Angel Assault Terminators either before or after. As part of before, they can be part of some narrative campaign that usually is in the end of the old edition and that marks the beginning of the new edition. Or it can be after, which means that it will be roughly autumn 2026 at earliest. Store Anniversary Miniature hints strongly this year though, maybe early next year for Space Hulk. And of course, the last time Space Hulk and Assault Terminators were released, they were close to each other, and we already mentioned that. Now let's take a look at this interesting timeline. These are the releases of new Terminators that have already happened. We got new Terminators in 2023, we got Dark Angel Deathwing Knights in 2024, we remember there was 4 months between those two, and we got Space Wolves Terminators, the Wolfguard Terminators in 2025. So that points that maybe we get our pals in the year 2026. I would be really surprised to see them released in 2025 too. And the reason for that is that Games Workshop has to make money, and if you release everything in one go, people will just be overwhelmed, and you want your customers to spend money pretty much every month, so you spread your releases as much as you can. So where does it leave us? The best guess that I can make based on all the facts that we have seen so far is either first half of 2026, before the new edition drops in, or just after the new edition drops in autumn 2026. Yet again, keep in mind, I don't have any sort of insider information, I don't have any rumor sources as Valrek has. I'm just connecting the dots here and trying to figure out things from some random tidbits and facts that we know, and that is gonna be my guess. either first half or second half of 2026. And now I want to hear from you guys. Did I miss any facts or rumors or whatever? Do you know anything interesting in regards of that? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please consider liking it and subscribe to the channel. It will help you to catch more content like this in the future, and it will help me to grow this channel. If you really enjoy what I'm doing here, please check out my Patreon. We have some fun stuff there too. As always, check out the video that you see now on your screen. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.